Thank you for meeting me on such short notice. Our mutual friend said you could be trusted, which is good enough for me. Still, it would put my mind at ease if you would answer a couple of questions. You are a mage, right? Don't take it personally. I've seen my fair share of magic folk. Wizards, witches, warlocks, sorcerers, even a couple artificers. They all got a look to 'em. The way they walk, the way they stand. Not a bad thing, mind you, but easy enough to spot in a crowd. But you... I'm not afraid to admit I have an excellent eye for these things, but when I look at you, I see a merchant, maybe a bard. Not even a hint of magic on you. Well, all right then. I guess we shall see. A well-rounded magic user is always a blessing to have, but if push comes to shove, there's only one spell I will need you to cast. Destroy magic item. I suppose I should have seen that coming. It can't be that common. Could you learn it in the next 3 days? Well, can it be cast from a scroll then? Okay, good. It does complicate things a little, but it won't be that difficult. Raven's Reach is only a few hours' ride north from here. I have an artificer friend at the college who can scribe almost any spell into a scroll. It will be tight on time and a little expensive, but it can be done. Speaking of, what are your rates? 4 to 6 days, dangerous work. That's fair. I'll give you 60% up front and the rest when we part ways. That is, if you can fulfill your role. There is no big payout at the end. This little quest is not glamorous. It's not going to get you recognized by the king. If anything, it may even irk the royal family. But it's a noble goal all the same. Do you know of Rathul Colbin, the slaver from Coal's Deep? Richest man this side of the Great Mountains, made his fortune selling slaves from the low-lying regions of Marathorpe and Fosgard. Wormed his way into the king's inner circle with lavish gifts and fancy parties. Scum of the earth. But with any luck in the next few days, we will be doing the world a favor by removing him from his place of power, permanently. Sickens me to my stomach to think someone like that has the ear of the king. Slavery used to be illegal here not 20 years ago, but with the mines of Coal's Deep requiring ever more hands and our greedy rulers, instead of paying their wages, changed the laws. And now lizard folk and kobold do their dirty work. Now I know what you're thinking. Lizard folk this far north, how is that possible? Well, it's a secret Rathul Colbin has kept to himself and very few close advisors. Were he to try and capture new slaves by trial and boat, the trek would take at least 3 weeks. That is, if the Midnight Forest cooperated. No, what Rathul has at his disposal is so much more sinister and powerful than ever I expected at first. In the basement of his estate, there lies a hidden cellar. In this cellar, there is an unassuming wooden door in a frame, freestanding in the middle of the room. Across from the door, there is a pedestal with a book atop. When his cages are running low of slaves, he marches his men down to this room. He recites a passage from the book and then places a key into the door. On the moment it opens, a portal is created from his cellar to Fosgard or nearby. He can control the precise location the doorway opens to a great degree, and so he is able to avoid detection. When suitably close to a village or tribe, he and his men rush through the gate, capturing those who can work and slaughtering everyone who gets in their way. They rely on speed and surprise. Lizard folk are no pushovers in a fight, and even kobolds can hold their own when push comes to shove, but the surprise and brutality of Rathul's men always gives him an advantage. As fast as they arrive, they leave with their new captives, and as soon as the door closes, so does the portal. The auction lot and cage house is connected to the cellar through old mines to prevent escapes. The entire operation is as horrific as it is efficient. Hundreds have been taken over the last 15 years, and by my hand, it will be stopped in the next 5 days. Are you in? Our mutual friend was right about you. It's rare to find even a little compassion for others around these parts, doubly so for creatures who don't share our lineage. I will not stop at the portal. My job ends when every slave of every race is freed, and those who profit from it are given their just comeuppance. But from you, I only require your craft. You see, I recognize that look in your eye. You're questioning if you'll be able to destroy something as powerful as a magical door with only a scroll and a mid-level spell. It was tried once before. A kobold sorcerer, in retaliation for his family's enslavement, went about purposefully getting himself captured so he could attack the door from this side. He was unsuccessful. I'm afraid his magic was sound, but his target was incorrect. The door may be a conduit, but it in itself has no more magic than any other door. Same with the book atop the pedestal. A disgruntled soldier swiped the book from the pedestal and brought it to an artificer who he had hoped could unravel the magic and allow him to become the next king of the slavers. But to his and the artificer's shock, the book was as ordinary as any other. Cover to cover, the pages contained numbers and nothing else. Some sort of indecipherable code known only to the owner, of course. When the theft was discovered, it did not take long for Rathul to track down the soldier who had taken it and smashed the door in of his house. Out of desperation, the man threatened to cast the book into the fireplace unless he was let free. Rathul told him to do it, and then ran him through as the pages burnt. The next day, another book sat atop the pedestal. Different book, same code. No, neither the door nor the book contain any particular magic. It was the key this whole time. The magic is not unique to the cellar or the door or the book. It's all in the key. Any door you open with it will create a portal. It's simply expedient to have a doorway in the cellar. Whether the book of numbers contains a passphrase or if it too is simply a ruse is irrelevant. If you destroy the key, you destroy Rathul. If not body, at least in reputation. He's not stupid. Far from it, but time and ego have left him vulnerable. He thinks himself untouchable, and under most circumstances he would be correct. But his own hubris will be his downfall. He has 20-year contracts with all the royal family and all the wealthy mine owners to supply slaves on a regular basis. Should he suddenly be unable to fulfill his obligation, he will have to pay steep fines out of pocket for every missed shipment. Not that it would matter, mind you. Should my plan come together as hoped, he and his thugs will never make it back to Coal's Deep. The key's magic, however undeniably strong it may be, has a crippling weakness. For the portal to be maintained, the key must remain in the lock of the door. Once the door is shut, then and only then can the key be removed and the portal collapsed. Now, a man not so blinded by ego and power would simply stay behind and keep a close eye on the key, discreetly of course. But not Rathul. He always leads the attack, so he may personally pick out slaves that will net him the most profit. Aside from 2 guards who watch over this side of the portal, the key is unguarded. I wish it were that simple, and I'm afraid Rathul has thought about that too. To prevent the door from being closed while he's on the other side, a thick iron chain is dragged through the doorway and staked down on the other side, thus preventing the door from being closed. A hand and a half thick, it's always the first thing through and the last thing retrieved. In order to trap him, one would have to travel through the gate and remove the stake holding the chain in place. They would be spotted and attacked far before the chain could be removed. No, that is why I need your spells. I have it under good authority the key cannot be removed while the door is open, but if it's destroyed, the portal goes with it. Rathul will be trapped some thousands of miles from a safe harbor with only a handful of guards, and if by some miracle he makes his way back to Coal's Deep, his single advantage to obtaining slaves will be gone along with any chance to fulfill the contracts. A deadly blow to the corrupt mining industry and royal compliance all at once. I understand your concerns. Neither our mutual friend or the artificers I've spoken with can say for sure what will happen when the key is destroyed. An item of such power will likely flare up, emit a massive burst of magical energy. It will be harmless to us mortals, but may damage the weave of magic. Spells nearby will almost always certainly fail within the vicinity. Depending on the severity, this may last an hour or until the end of time. The key itself may simply cease to be magical, or it may disintegrate or even explode. In the story of King Nephaeus, the gauntlets of Drugmar, imbued with unstopping, when they came up against the iron steel of Bracueus, a door that was impenetrable, fractured into 1,000 razors that flayed the king's arms right off his body. That is unlikely in this case, however, I would still recommend leather armor regardless. The plan is already set in motion. If you want to back out now, say your piece so I may search for someone else. Forgive me. With each day approaching, I fear myself getting more and more anxious, bordering on paranoia. While the stakes, should we succeed in my mind, far outweigh the repercussions, the price of failure and capture would be far worse than death. To the plan, then. Provided this spell can be scribed to the scroll in due time, we will travel straight south to Colesdeep, through the town and over the bridge to Rathul's estate. There we will wait until the precise moment of the sun peeking over the horizon. That is when Rathul and his men will open the portal and begin the attack. From that moment we will only have 3 hours at most to descend to the cellar and open the hidden door. Inside will be 2 guards. Should we catch them by surprise, they can be incapacitated with ease, else we will need to deal with them as quickly and quietly as possible. Once they are out of the picture, the key will be unguarded and the magic can commence. From this point, there are 2 possible outcomes. The magic works, severing the door and chain, where simply we leave quietly, or it does not, in which case you will leave as fast as possible, and I will employ the backup plan. I may not be of magic like you, but that doesn't mean I can't utilize its power. This arcane item came to me by great expense. Inside this protective box is an unbroken greater crystal of arcane fulminate. I've seen its power only once. During the Grey Dawn Rebellion, a martyr from the cult of the Black Sun used a crystal during the swearing-in of Archbishop Lyons. I was more than 4 blocks away, indulging in the festivities, when a wave of heat boiled the beer right out of the glass as I stood. Everyone within a block was incinerated in an instant, and the church was engulfed in magical fire that burned for 7 days and nights. Hundreds dead, all over petty cultist infighting. This will have twice that power, if not more. Should the key not be destroyed, I will personally chip the crystal and bury the portal along with Rathul's estate and legacy in unquenchable fire. This will end in 5 days by one means or another. My qualms with Rathul are my business and my business alone. Focus on your task. Now it's 4 hours till daybreak. If we leave now, we can make it to Briar Bridge by sunup. Can you ride? Good. I have my horse and a spare by the northeast stables. I will stop at my workshop and get you your gold on the way out of town. We will have plenty of time to chat on the road. Are you ready?